All right, Sunday afternoon. Let's do a video. Couple things. Anyway, did an oil change yesterday. My Esco tall jack stands, those bad boys that are like over in the corner right here. These tall jack stands. There you go. Yeah, they work amazing. I might have to, if I want to use the full capacity of my lift, I might have to cut a couple pieces of, probably just use a couple sheets of ply, because I got a couple sheets of ply, so I might do that one of these days. Just have a couple pieces of ply available, just so I could put under it. That's a very dense material, so it's not gonna like compress and like potentially cause the the jack stand to like lose its footing or anything, because it's pretty compact. So I'm confident about using that, and it's all bonded, so it's not gonna fall apart under the weight. Obviously there might be a little bit of compression, but it's probably not gonna be significant to be concerned about, right? So to get the full capacity out of my lift, I think I'm gonna cut some of those and just have them stashed away, and those are just gonna be part of the tool collection. To get the full capacity out of my lift, I can just put them beneath that, between the jack stand, and then there, if you watch that video, you can see that I put them under this arm, because what I'm concerned about is, well, this is designed for 6,000 pounds. Here's the total capacity, 6,000 pounds, but all that weight is on this one arm. So this has some flex to it. So when you have the car on top of it, on the center of gravity line right here, the red line, it tends to have a little bit of dip because it doesn't have a column on that side. It doesn't have a column on this side as it does on that side. So that's where, for peace of mind, I got those lifts that I just showed you. But so far they work well. It's just when this thing goes to its max capacity, those jacks don't really reach all that. It might be short a couple inches, which I kind of knew going in, but I wanted it for the screw type functions, because I don't necessarily need this to be at its full capacity at every given time, right? Sometimes it can be lower. And really, if I'm not under the car, I'm not really concerned. But at the same time, I wouldn't want it to fall regardless of how high it is. Had my first casualty with this thing yesterday. I was in a hurry. I was trying to get 2 oil changes done, trying to rush out the house, have some other obligations I had to meet. And, well, first car, and it's a lesson learned. First car, I had retracted these arms, and this is one of those things. When you have a 2-column lift, you don't have the center obstruction piece, right? So all these arms, basically this traditional 2-post lift, it's just like you cut off all this portion, and you have these arms that fold out the way right there like that, right? So that's normal. Well, you don't have that over here, so all this stuff has to be like tucked back. So push this arm inwards. I mean, they're pretty, like, if you squeeze them inwards, you can push them back, all the way back. But what I had happen with me yesterday was I pushed it back, and I had the thing already elevated. So typically when I park the car over it, I always spin these up until they make contact with the pinch well, just so I'm not having any uneven lifting. Because my assumption is that when it's fully lowered to the ground, it's at its neutral state. And then once I have the car parked in position, I spin these up, and they make contact. Then it's going to be lifting from a neutral state regardless of the height of these independently. So I had it about there somewhere, and I had the arm back, and I go to back the car, and I heard plastic cracking. Well, it wasn't the plastic that, it definitely folded the plastic back partially before I stopped, and then I drove forward, quickly realizing what I had done. Let me put this down before I cause any more issue. So I caught the plastic, and all it did was, I don't want to put it all the way down because then it's going to drag on the concrete. it's gonna gouge up the tile. So I always make sure I can get my finger under it for the most part. Because again, I don't want to gouge up the tile. So the only thing that for my ego, I was able to fold the plastic back just like laying on the floor, and it looked like it would. I mean, it didn't break or anything, but I broke at least one clip. I might have 2 that's missing. It's just this is the only one I found. So whenever I get some time, I'll replace that. It's just the clips. It's not, the plastic is fine. Just bruised the ego, but you live and you learn. So I'll always make sure, and I was kind of like backing a little bit faster than normal. So live and you learn, make sure the arm's out of the way. And yeah, I'm always scared that I'm gonna run over these handles. Which you'd probably bend the hell out of them, obviously. And then you'd have to take this plate off and then potentially get them out, replace them. But I'm always, when I drive in, it's just be myself. Yeah, I guess I could gauge what over here would look like. Because really, in the best position, I want my wheels to come right about here. Because I rather the weight of the car being on this side versus, like this labeling says, the center of gravity of load never exceeds this line. So if you can have much of it over this side, that's where you want it. You don't want much of it over this side, you know, as much as possible. And these arms are definitely longer, so there's a potential that you could get over there slightly. So anyway, works out. Two oil changes done. No big deal. What else is there? So, no, this is a mess. Again, doing a lot of projects around the house. I'm building a shed, so this cart is always outside with me with all my stuff on it. I was cutting the lawn. I cut my 2 neighbors, the 2 neighbors left and right of me, their lawn today. One is going through a divorce. So I cut her grass, and then the former Marine that lives beside me, whenever I'm out of town, he cuts my grass. So I was like, I'll cut his also. So I ended up cutting like 3 yards today, front yards. So I went through a lot of batteries, and partially they were in charge. But anyway, growing mess, projects. You got stuff for the shed, stuff for the house, stuff that needs to go in the shed and in the when stuff gets done. Planning to pressure wash my house, and first time I have a house with stucco, and just realized you can't really pressure wash a house with stucco. So something about soft wash, but I did buy a 100-foot extension hose for my pressure washer, just so I don't have to keep moving that thing around. But it will come in handy because I'm eventually going to wash the driveway and all that stuff that I can power wash, all the concrete surfaces. But I can just leave the pressure washer in one place and just get away from the noise. So that's new. I was going to talk about this lift. So you see this OTC lift, OTC. See if I can go from a different angle in case you don't know what I'm talking about. There you go. So this is a OTC 4,400 pound capacity lift. As you can see, I mean, I know there's stuff in the way like level and stuff, but it's folded up. Picked that up on eBay, and that's the first one I wanted. Got it from New York. Had it shipped out here. The pump slightly leaks at the handle, partially because I think this arm was like pressed up against it at one point in time, but I meant to get a seal kit. All it needs is a kit. It's still usable. It just kind of drips ever so slightly, I guess when it's in use or something, but now it's not even dripping, so it's fine. So for all intents and purposes, that thing is fully functional. It just probably needs a new seal. Otherwise, it functions just normally, doesn't lose pressure or anything. That's there, but we'll come over here. You might see what I'm talking about already. This is the one I found initially. This is the 2,200 pound capacity. So that's the smaller one. I mean, you can see, kind of twist the camera here. So this is a smaller one. This is the one I found initially, and I jumped on the opportunity. Reasonable price. This came out of Texas. So not everything is bigger in Texas. I guess. Anyway, yeah, and it comes in handy. But look what I found. So why do I need 3 lifts or 3 engine cranes of this capacity? I certainly don't need. I mean, even one is more than what I need. But found that one, jumped on it because I was like, great, found a larger capacity one. This one, my friend, was completely brand new and not used, unused, but brand new. Forget the words I'm looking for. I mean, you can look at the chain. Look at the chain. Has this white residue on it from just sitting there. And you can see a little bit of, hasn't been used. Then I kind of, little nice side note, I kind of figure out why they have these little things. The little thing here is supposed to go between it, except this one was laying down for shipment and whatever storage, and it just folded this arm back. As you can see, this arm is straight. And if we look at that one over there, the arm is straight. But I just figured out that I'm supposed to slide it through here, and it makes sense because it provides a means for it not to fall forward. But this one is bent, so I might be able to straighten this one out eventually. It's not even required. Take this hex off, kind of straighten this back out, and then it's going to look functional. But anyway, this thing was completely new, unused. That's what I'm trying to say. It's new and unused. It literally came like this thing, this handle, the handle was not on there. The snap ring was on the little pin here, because this is a one-piece metal unit, and all I did was put the little pin under it and like pivot it on this wheel, and it fell in the first hole, and then I kind of like guided it and it fell in the next one and put the little snap ring on, and the wheel was on. This thing came on a pallet. This thing came on a pallet, like laying down, this side down, face down on the pallet. And this thing it probably took me like 2 hours to figure out how to get it up, to get it upright, because this thing weighs 700 pounds. It weighs 700 pounds. That was the weight of the shipment. And what I did was I wheeled this engine crane out there, and I mean, I had to do some MacGyver type stuff, but eventually I got it in a position where I could lift it with that crane because, well, first of all, it was, for context, my garage door was open. My wife's car was in here on the lift. The guy dropped it off he was gonna drop it off in the driveway. I told him he couldn't drop it off right there because right now my Tacoma is right here. And he dropped it off on the little walkway leading to the front porch right there. Well, that was a great idea for not blocking the car, but it was a bad idea for moving this thing. So I had to I had to attach this engine crane to it and pull on that engine crane, pull this thing until the wide open space of the driveway. And then that's when I figured, like, what the hell did I get myself into? So again, this thing was laying flat, this side down. And eventually I figured, initially I hooked on right here, and then this arm started lifting up because, well, this is just part of the hydraulic arm. So I eventually hooked into right here, this pin right here that it pivots on. And I just kind of lifted up. I put some ply under the leg so it wouldn't scrape on the concrete outside in case it was like sliding towards the lift, and I just lifted it. Should have gotten a picture or video in the process, but it's quite entertaining, quite resourceful. But yeah, I just hooked the chain in here, and I hooked it on this lift, and I just cranked it up, lifted up until it was pretty much vertical. And yeah, it was seamless, just one-handed operation, lifting 700 pounds. Well, obviously it was resting on the ground, but just kind of trying to tip it over on its up top right. So anyway, long story short, I do have 3 lifts, 2 4,400 pound capacity, one right there, one right here, and then a 2,200 pound capacity. You might say, why? I don't know why. This one enticed me because of the price. It was certainly less than the one that was used and not new. But this was brand new. Like I said, I had to put this on. It came with a cardboard on there. It came in a box. it came in a little, the accessories. So you can see the pump is not even on here. So you can see the pump right there on this one. So it's the same pump. You got the screw hole for the pumps and all that stuff, all those fit-ins. I mean, you can see the fit-in on that one right there at the bottom. Here's the same fit-in right here. And here's the 2 to 4 screws that are gonna hold the pump on. Here's the pump. The pump is sitting on the floor. And these pumps, these things by themselves, come to find out, are not cheap. So this thing was just sitting in someone's barn, rotting away. And I'm glad they sold it when they did. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean this up before I put fluid in there. I'm gonna clean it up. It goes up and it goes down. So hopefully the seal, the integrity of the seal is intact. But I'm gonna clean it up. There's the part number, model number. But I'm gonna clean it up and then I'm gonna spray paint it. Something that I'm eventually gonna do, I might add a gauge. You can see where it says gauge. Might add a pressure gauge to these. But a little bit of light sand and a wire brush to clean up these spots. And then I'm just gonna get it on there and it should be good to go. But this was in a box with it was in a box with these fit-ins, and that's how I knew I have everything, because I've seen it before. And then, because I even told the shippers, the seller, I was like, hey, since it's new, just make sure everything is there and it doesn't go missing during shipment. This piece right here was on the block already. So, and as you can see, it even has the plug in there. So it hasn't even been removed. Slightly corroded right. It's slightly corroded right here. So I might try to remove that, clean it up a little bit just to make sure it doesn't leak. But it might be in my best interest to leave that. But I should be able to remove it, clean it up. I just want to clean up all the hydraulic fittings, make sure nothing, is going to introduce any type of foreign debris in there, in the reservoir. And then here's the only part of this unit so far that I know that I'll have to replace. So here's the hose that it comes with. Comes with this, like, I want to say 2-foot hose. And this is part number. I might look up the part number, see if I get an original. But you can see this is completely corroded. So this might be surface rust. Because the problem was the box that all this stuff was in, you can see this was probably sitting right on that end right there. The box that this was in was the manual that was in there. Some kind of rodent or something had gotten in there and started making a nest. So I kind of found a piece of stick and dug through it, and I made sure I had this piece, that piece, and the piece. I pretty much made sure I had all the pieces, those pieces, and the screws and stuff. And I compared it to what I have, and I'm confident I have all the pieces. So a little bit of light work, and I should get this thing up and running. But yeah, so I have a brand new OTC 4,400 pound capacity engine floor crane, made in the USA. We keep up to speed. This thing is amazing. This cylinder has never been used. The seals on it should be good. The only thing I wish that these had, which I know OTC makes a newer capacity one, a bigger capacity engine crane, but it doesn't fold, is the fact that I wish the arms had a little bit of left to right lateral, because that would help you get into some really awkward place instead of having to maneuver the lift. But compared to some of the engine cranes I've seen people use on YouTube and stuff, these are where it's at. Now, is the thickness of this gonna get under a passenger car if it's not on jacks? Chances are it won't. You can see how thick it is and bulky. This certainly will. And this is 2,200 pounds. So, not a big deal for me right now to clean it up and get it going. But it's one of those things that I'll get to on whenever I get to it. and it will be fine. So yeah, and what I'll probably end up doing, I already told a buddy about it who actually liked it, and I told him about that. So if he wants to buy it for the same price that I paid for it, to include getting it shipped out here, then he can come pick it up. But yeah, so effectively, a unit of this, when I look online at this current rate, something like this is going for anywhere from 7 to 12 grand. Is what the going price for these are. So, and for the price of all three, let me see. Yeah, actually, for the price of all three of these, is as if I would have bought one. So, and I'm saying average about 7 grand for one. So if you say 7 grand, all three of these would amount to what I'd paid for one brand new. So I think it's a steal. More than I need. Some people are going to say what they will, but check your account. Let me know if you're missing anything. And we'll talk about it from then. But yeah, certainly overkill with what I need, but I don't know what my future holds. I'm thinking some stuff, and they might come in handy. But anyway, 21 minutes in. Let's talk about some tools. Look at these. Probably seen me do a video on these before. They're not the same thing. These ones are different. It's the Mac BOPA. You see the part number. It's the SAE version. We got, if I can help the study, 3/8, 7/16, half, 9/16, and 5/8. 5-piece SAE. Then I picked up the, it's supposed to be, I didn't realize it was a 5-piece because I bought this already. How do I know? Because I said I did. There it is. Comes in a tray that's cracked. But this one, if you've seen in a previous video, this handle is crooked. Someone melted or did something with this handle. So it's crooked. Didn't really bother me, but when I saw the opportunity to get a complete set, I jumped on it. For less than the price of that, it makes sense because this is a 6-piece, as you can see. 6, right? This only goes 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and this one has your number 18. So my plan is to take the number, I was gonna see what quality they are, but I think these have a lot more inscriptions on them, a lot more labeling than these do. But how about I take the good 15 out of here and do this motion. There we go. Now we got some good 15. And what I'll do, and this will probably be for sale. So, because I don't need 2 sets. But what I do have is metric and SAE. Nope, I won't be able to close it. No, still tight. Still tight. So I'm just gonna throw them in here for now. So what I have is metric and SAE. And hopefully I'll eventually get in here and organize these a little bit better. But I just want to get them off the top of the hutch for now. These like small drawer has been my catch-all for just random stuff recently. So I'm happy about this. Happy that I got a replacement for the 15. I mean, yeah, I probably could have searched high and low for the 15 individually, but I jumped on a set knowing well that I was gonna sell it. So yeah, I'll probably end up, I'll end up selling that because I don't need 2 sets and I don't need to have a crooked version, right? So otherwise, there's that. Something about upgrading tools. Saw me talk about these Vim 2-piece. Well, it's supposed to be a 3-piece chisel set, scraper chisel. Well, I don't know why I ended up having 2 and not a 3. And when I looked for the one that's missing, the 150, because, well, no, 125. Yeah, when I looked for the 125, so this is 150 and this is 75. There's as you can see, there's a 125 in there, and I'm missing that one. So I went online, and the price for one of these, it made sense for me to just buy a complete set. So I bought a complete set of all three, and now I have the 125 because for some reason the 150 came out, the 75 came out, but the 125 I was not able to find it being sold singular. So these are probably going to go to the shed, and they're going to do great work out there. They're striking, and then these are going to go in a toolbox. The last item that I got is a, let's see, cordless palm nailer. Now, I've never had a need for one of these until I'm building my shed, and I realized when I go to put the trim pieces on, I might be in some confined spaces. So I've never used one of these. Let's see if we can, I'm not going to strike a nail. I just want to see if it makes any sound. Looks like it has a little grip for your hand, which you can adjust it. Sorry, trying to put this on. So you can see the thing, you can adjust it. It looks like you got a little trigger back here, pointed away from anything you're not intending to shoot at, and depressed. Interesting. You know what? I think I have to, the striker is in there. So the striker would have to engage on something. Interesting. I know the battery is fully charged. Like I said, I've never used one of these. And I'm doing it holding the camera, so that doesn't really do justice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have to depress that striker for it to engage. Yeah, it looks like it's, the striker is, it needs to be depressed for it to engage. Yeah, right there. Cool. This is just a, looks like it's just a sleeve. So I'm trying not to potentially get my finger blown off. But there's that. Probably should have taken out the battery before I started doing that. But yeah, I'm going to test this out. It's for literally using it in a confined space. I know they have pneumatic ones, but I mean, for something that I won't necessarily use all the time, a battery-powered one is probably more convenient. So yeah, that's all I got for tools. Has anyone ever won any of these Milwaukee tool entry things? Well, this is the one key, but they usually send like little entry things in these boxes. Let me know if you ever won anything. I have never submitted anything, so I've never had to stand a chance of winning anything. But yeah, so I picked up this set. Picked up the SAE, the red ones. You know, the red ones. Picked up this full scraper set. Picked up a palm nailer, and then my OTC big crane over there. Talked about my my little fiasco with this little arm right here. But yeah, I'm gonna put this stuff back. Oh, talking about this, I'm actually gonna, when this video is over, I'm gonna look it up and see. Like I said, this might be surface rust, but for something that's gonna be under high pressure, I'd rather just get a replacement. It'd be nice if I could just get a one size replacement. Like, it's so corroded, I wasn't able to get that cap off just to see what it's like. But I probably want to leave it on there until I can potentially clean this up. But to be honest, I'm probably going to throw this out. Like, this side looks pretty good, but this side was definitely getting, this is probably getting pissed on by rodents or something. So I probably need to throw it out. I do have several hydraulic OTC hoses because I have several equipment that uses hydraulics. And this is not an OTC hose, but this came on some other foot pump. So this is slightly longer. Slightly longer by comparison, but it's the shortest one I have, so I might just use that one. And if I stand correctly, let's see if I can tilt this thing down. If I remove this, I just want to see what the inner diameter looks like. Yeah. So you can't really see it, but it's about the same diameter as a hole. So should work. I'm gonna get the part number off this, and then I'm gonna throw it out. I don't want to risk ever using this and it blowing apart under high pressure. So, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Anyway, garage is going well. The wife threw this thing on here. I told her I cannot drive this car anymore. Yeah. I got to return this to Harbor Freight, get my money back, and then I need to buy the one that I use in this box for my little Hazette card over there, the blue thing. What I'm talking about is the mats and stuff. If you've never seen me talk about it before. For my Hazette card, I'm trying to get these heavy-duty Harbor Freight mats that I use in these lockers. So I have them in all these lockers, and then up top to protect the surface. This one right here, it's like the one that comes in the toolbox in the slide out drawers and stuff, in the boxes, the drawers and stuff. So not as heavy duty. All right, anyway, 31 minutes in, it's Sunday. I'm gonna put this back away. The only thing I'm gonna do is look at the part number, see if I can find it. A direct replacement, and I'll just buy it. Really, I probably should just use this, to be honest. And if this doesn't work, then I can just buy a new one. But I usually like going OEM stuff, so everything fits the way it does. All right, anyway, future problems, first world problems. As me always say, like and I hate the team.